friends. Welcome to Everyday Faith for Her. If you're a busy Christian mom that feels spiritually disconnected and overwhelmed, yet you desire a deeper relationship with God, then you're in the right place. This podcast is designed to help you understand the Bible and integrate it into your life so you can experience greater peace, purpose, and connection with Jesus. I'm your host, Betsy Marvin, and this is episode 185. In this episode, we're exploring James 3 and the difference between worldly wisdom and godly wisdom. While the world often measures wisdom by success, knowledge, or achievement, James points us to a very different standard. Together, we'll discover how true wisdom is defined and why the fruit of our lives says more about our wisdom than the information we know. Would you rather be wise or foolish? I know, silly question, right? I think we all want to be wise, especially as parents. We listen to podcasts, read books, Google ideas, just so that we have the knowledge from experts in order to make wise choices for our kids. The problem is that all the knowledge in the world doesn't actually make us wise. Have you heard this one? Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not using a tomato in fruit salad. See, wisdom is the application of knowledge, yes, but it's also so much more than that. Wisdom is more than knowing the right thing. It's living the right thing. That's why James isn't interested in how much we know about God. He's interested in whether our lives reflect God. In the last episode, James asked whether your tongue blesses or curses. Now he asks a different question. What kind of wisdom is shaping your life? The world's wisdom or God's wisdom? Maybe you've never really thought about the fact that those are different. Maybe you've thought wisdom is wisdom, right? But actually, no. Our view of life determines our definition of wisdom. For instance, if there is no God, no ultimate accountability, and no eternal purpose, then wisdom becomes doing whatever benefits you. But if God exists, if His truth is real, and if our lives have eternal significance, then wisdom becomes learning to live His way. One puts self on the throne, the other places God on the throne. With that foundation in mind, let's continue in James chapter 3. And today we're using the Passion Translation. We begin in verse 13. If you consider yourself to be wise and one who understands the ways of God, advertise it with a beautiful, fruitful life guided by wisdom's gentleness. Never brag or boast about what you've done, and you'll prove that you are truly wise. So James has moved from speaking about the tongue to wisdom because both reveal what's happening inside of us. Have you noticed that people who are truly wise don't tend to think that they are? They live in the humble posture of realizing that there's always more to learn, discover, experience, and obey. And this is a beautiful, fruitful life guided by wisdom's gentleness. I know the word gentleness can throw people off. We don't want to be meek or weak. But the word used here in the Greek is prahotes, which almost sounds Spanish the way I say it. But it means an active attitude of deliberate acceptance. Meaning a fruitful life is one that chooses to accept God's wisdom, God's way of living, which James will define in a moment. And to do that, we can't be weak or pushovers. Think of someone you know that you consider wise. How would you describe them? There are a few people in my life that I would consider wise. It's not because of a degree, although some have them. And it's not their success. Not all of them are successful as the world defines it. And they're not all older. I consider them wise because they have applied God's word to their lives and they're living out what Jesus teaches. Not perfectly, but they're humble, obedient, and really, really know Jesus. And when I think of them, I see peace, discernment, empathy, and grace. It isn't wisdom proven by what they know. It's revealed by how they live. James continues in verse 14. But if there is bitter jealousy or competition hiding in your heart, then don't deny it and try to compensate for it by boasting and being phony. For that has nothing to do with God's heavenly wisdom, but can best be described as the wisdom of this world, both selfish and devilish. So wherever jealousy and selfishness are uncovered, you will also find many troubles and every kind of meanness. James is writing to those who already have a faith in Jesus. They have this foundation, and he's calling them out for what could be hiding in their hearts. Remember, Jesus said, whatever is in your heart determines what you say. So if there's bitter jealousy and competition showing itself in boasting and fake posturing, then that has nothing to do with God's wisdom. That is selfishness. Worldly wisdom promotes self. We often mistake success for wisdom. We assume that because someone is influential, wealthy, educated, or admired, that they must also be wise. But James gives us a different measuring stick. Wisdom is not revealed by title, platform, or a following. It's revealed by humility and peace, teachability, mercy, integrity. Godly wisdom produces Christ-like character. As parents, we know the competition competing game, and it is so easy to fall into. My grandson is 9 months old as I record this episode, and I can already find myself comparing. Is he crawling yet? Is he doing what that other baby is doing? I mean, he's 9 months old. It sounds ridiculous, but comparison comes naturally to us, and if we're not careful, we'll pass that mindset on to our children and grandchildren. Godly wisdom doesn't need to compete. It celebrates. It encourages. It trusts God's timing in the lives of others and in our own. That's the kind of wisdom we want to pass on, isn't it? Verse 17. But the wisdom from above is always pure, filled with peace, considerate, and teachable. It is filled with love and never displays prejudice or hypocrisy in any form, and it always bears the beautiful harvest of righteousness. Good seeds of wisdom's fruit will be planted with peaceful acts by those who cherish making peace. Notice what James doesn't mention. He doesn't mention IQ. He doesn't mention education or income or influence, talent, or accomplishments. Instead, God's wisdom is pure. It's peaceful, gentle, teachable, merciful, sincere. These aren't primarily intellectual qualities, they're heart qualities. When our hearts are in tune with Him, these attributes bring a harvest of righteousness in our lives. Dear one, the world constantly tells us that wisdom is getting ahead. It's wise to protect yourself and prove yourself or pursue what makes you happy. James is telling us something very different. He says that godly wisdom looks like humility, peace, and obedience. Practically, it's pausing before you speak. It's parenting with the end in mind and not letting the moment overrule you. It's listening, curiosity, and learning. It's humility. I mean, there's a feeling you get when you're around someone who is truly wise. There's a peace and unhurried sincerity that comes through their words and their stories. They have lived and learned, becoming humble in the knowing and gentle in the sharing. there's a maturity, not necessarily because of age, but a maturity that's reflected in discernment. They see life practically, offer empathy, and bring a calm to life situations. It's wisdom that looks like Jesus. Not everything that sounds good is good. Not everything that is popular is wise. That's why we need God's word to help us recognize the difference. And that's what James wants us to see here, that wisdom truly looks like becoming more like Jesus. So as we wrap up today, here's a question I want you to ponder. What kind of wisdom is shaping your life? Not what kind of wisdom do you admire, not what kind of wisdom do you talk about. What kind of wisdom is actually guiding your decisions, your relationships, your priorities, your responses? Is it someone on TikTok? Is it someone you listen to in a podcast? Is it someone in your friend circle? James says that wisdom isn't proven by what we know, and it's definitely not proven by who or what we watch and listen to. It's proven by the fruit our lives produce. So when people look at you, do they see peace, humility, mercy, teachability, integrity? Or do they see jealousy and competition and self-promotion and chasing after achievement and pride? The good news is that God doesn't expect us to figure this out on our own. Earlier in this letter, James gave us the beautiful promise that if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault. So this week, before making decisions, responding to conflict, or rushing ahead with your own plans, pause and ask God for wisdom. He gives it generously. Then choose to follow what He shows you. Because wisdom isn't simply knowing God's word. Wisdom is living God's word. Thank you for spending these moments with me today. If this episode encouraged you, would you take a moment to share it with a friend or leave a review? These simple actions help more women discover the podcast and grow in their everyday faith. Until next time, keep seeking Jesus, keep opening His word, and keep looking for ways to live out your faith, one ordinary day at a time.